how are things going at Adoja?
They're going, man. We're in the second phase of the ITN now. We still got a ways to go. Probably November, December before we wrap the ITN, but it's going good.
Nice.
So Anthony told me you guys are in a new office space or moving to a new office space. What's going on there?
Yep, we're actually building out a new office this month. We should be fully moved over there by the 1st of next month, but we're building a little studio out, a little podcasting table, and we're going to try to host some local meetups. Local crypto meetups to bring in some more of the locals around here. I mean, Anthony and I have onboarded a lot of people locally. You'll see some Bloompool shirts walking around everywhere when you're in this town. So we kind of want to expand that a little bit and start hosting meetups and teaching people how to stake, teaching people how to get crypto, all the basics.
Have you guys considered doing one of the governance workshops this summer?
I really don't know anything about the governance workshops.
Okay, I was going to do one here. And I'm probably still going to do one. I'm just not going to bother with IO about it. But yeah, I guess they were doing a sign-up thing, which closed like a week or so ago. And they would pay up to $5,000 to anyone who wanted to do one up through July 17th was the kind of the cutoff date for that. What's up, Macaroni?
Hey, Kyle. Yeah, if I would have known about that, I definitely would have signed up for it. We just hosted an event in Austin, Texas. It was a good event. We had Ben Goertzel come out. He did a couple little talks. We had some other people from there. We had Marcello, from Estal. We had Cloris from Cogito. And then I actually released Atrium for the first time and started telling people what it actually is. So I had a lot of fun in Austin. I always enjoy the meetups. That's why we did Rare Bloom, and we're going to keep hosting these little side events moving forward.
So yeah, man, I watched the videos from that meetup when you started first talking about Atrium or whatever, man. It's awesome. And I want to get to that, but I kind of want to go back and while we're here, touch on your history itself and how you came into the space. We're recording the space, so anybody who misses it can come back and check it out later. But yeah, so how did you originally get involved with Cardano?
So it was back in 2017. When I was younger, I used to love video games, and that eventually led me to, building computers. So I needed some money to pay for my video games back then. So I started buying computers off Craigslist, ones that people were selling whole. And then I would take them apart, and then I would piecemeal out the parts and sell them for more. Or I would build custom PCs for people. So my buddy came over one day, and I had 15 GPUs just lying there. And he's like, you can make money off of those, right? I'm like, what do you mean, man? He's like, it's crypto mining. So that night, man, I just, it was clearly my passion. I just hadn't figured it out yet. But that night, I stayed up all night just learning about this. I had my miners going that night, at least a couple of them, my own PC. I had 2 of them plugged in. And then I also ordered all of the parts that I needed for a mining rig. So within a couple of weeks, I had a full functioning mining rig going with 6 GPUs on it. I had 2 of them mining in my own computer. And, funny enough, if you look at Shiba and you look at Doge, all of the new people coming in, they like Shiba because they can buy 1 million tokens for a cheap price. And that's actually what got me into Cardano, the dumbest way ever. I looked at Cardano at the time and it was 9 cents. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. I'm sitting here getting a piece of a Bitcoin for all of my mining rewards. This thing's actually gonna, I'll get a bunch of these little tokens. So then I started doing that for a couple of weeks. And once I had, a couple $100, because the mining rewards were ridiculous back then. I was probably doing $100 a day. And as a 16, 17-year-old, I felt like I was living. So I was doing that, and then I started trading all of that into ADA. So then I started watching the Charles Hoskinson whiteboard video. And I was like, wow, this thing I don't only just get a lot of tokens for this. This is fucking awesome. Just the idea of proof of stake. I didn't have much money at the time. So, the transaction fees were pretty high on Ethereum for me. It was really hard to get into Bitcoin mining. It was too expensive. So proof of stake just made sense to me. And it was supposed to come out in 2018, the proof of stake protocol. So from that moment on, that kind of became my passion. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a stake pool operator. I missed out on this whole Bitcoin thing and this whole Ethereum thing. So I'm going to, just run a stake pool and contribute to the network in that way. And I was going to school for computer science and engineering the following year. So I was like, oh, it would be so awesome if I could just make, $20K a year from being a stake pool operator just to help me through college, so I wouldn't have to work, because I was going to Ohio State, and you really can't work while you go to school there. It's just too hard. They fail over half the class each year. So, from there on, I just delved into it. I think in 2018, I started making my first videos, My first videos were about mining, actually, like just proof of work mining. And I showed people how they could trade their proof of work mining rewards into ADA, you know, which I thought was pretty cool back at the time. So then from there, they finally released, or said they were going to release, the incentivized testnet on Cardano, which it wasn't even the same code. It was actually built in Rust. So it wasn't even the Haskell code. But what they wanted to test was the consensus model and the initial research plan. So they announced it, and what was cool about it is you actually earned real money for it. Even though it was a test net, they did a snapshot of the ADA that everyone had at the time. And then anyone that had that ADA could download a different testnet wallet and then delegate to stake pools. So I had this buddy, his name was Mustafa, and him and I are big computer science nerds, and he'd spent a lot of time in Linux. So I got grouped up with him and said, hey man, let's get this stake pool thing running. I'm like, I already got this YouTube channel going. I was like, you know, this would be pretty cool. So from there, I started making, you know, how to stake videos on the testnet with Yoroi and Daedalus, and I was one of the first people to actually show people how to stake back then. And then you know, we did all right. I think our highest peak was like 3-4 million ADA, but I was happy, man. You know, they didn't actually pay us for the next 6 months, but I was just so thrilled that people were watching my videos, people were delegating, and we were minting blocks. I mean, that feeling of minting the first ever block was amazing. And there was a lot of issues with the testnet back then. I mean, oftentimes you would just miss your blocks because of the network, and it wasn't even your fault. So from there, they finally announced the Haskell version, which is what we all use now, the mainnet of Cardano. And I got invited to this group, and this was called the Friends and Family Testnet. And in the Friends and Family testnet, it was like a group of like 12 people at first, or like 20 people. And then they just taught us, you know, how to actually build stake pools, how to use the Haskell code. And they'd bring us into calls with the researchers. And that's really where I learned a lot about Cardano. You know, me being able to ask these researchers questions, that mixed with my passion for learning about this, that's where I gathered a lot of my initial knowledge. So then when I was in that Friends and Family group, I was helping other people set up stake pools. At first, I was doing it for free for a while, but my time was just getting too limited. So I started charging a little bit of money per hour to teach people how to set up stake pools. And then Anthony actually reached out to me, and we got on a call, and I was teaching him about Linux and teaching him how to set up a stake pool. And he's like, why don't we just do this together, man? And at first I was kind of like, no, you know, I'm going to try to figure out how to do this myself. But then we just kept talking, and we, you know, kind of built a great relationship early on. So then we decided to do it together, and I was a little nervous because I, you know, never met him before, and I never worked with anyone on the internet before. So I was like, dude, I got to meet you first. So I flew down to, you know, where I live now in Florida, and I met him, and, you know, we really just hit it off, and we started just designing Bloom, you know, what we were going to do, what set us apart, what made us different. And we started planning videos to come out at the launch. And then, you know, we didn't even actually put out the idea for Bloom until mainnet released. I was actually on a podcast with Rick. It was the what do they call that podcast? I forget. The Cardano Effect.
Yeah, the Cardano Effect. Man, that's been a while too.
Yeah, I love that podcast, man. I mean, I used to watch every single episode, and that's how I ended up meeting everybody. You know, Charles, Rick, and so many other people from this community was that podcast. I mean, they did such a great job of bringing everybody together. They really did. So they had the podcast at 5 p.m. and then mainnet rolled over. Either it was like 6:40 p.m. or 5:40 p.m. So I went on there and I did that live podcast, and that's where I initially announced Bloom. You know, that was the first time that I ever even said the word. We were too worried about someone stealing our name or the ticker beforehand. So I said, yeah, you know, we're launching Bloom. I'm working with Anthony on this. I think at the time we were pledging 2.5 million ADA per stake pool. We were launching with 2 pools. So I said that, and Charles was on the podcast, and, you know, it kind of shocked everybody, you know, because I was just this college kid that was making these little terrible YouTube videos with a terrible mic and terrible equipment. And, you know, we launched Bloom. That night I stayed up really all night. I was up until probably 8 a.m. And in that night, I built 2 stake pools myself. And then I also made 3 videos that night. And then I posted them and then went to bed and then woke up probably a few hours later. But yeah, we were the first to ever create, you know, how to stake on Yoroi or how to stake on Daedalus. I did another video called How to Choose a Stake Pool, which went into kind of, you know, the fee structure, how different rewards are paid, and all of that. And I mean, all of those videos are probably 30K plus views now, because they really were the first of its kind. We also did a lot of, local engagement too. When I was up in Columbus and when we were down here in Melbourne, anybody that was interested in crypto, we would talk to them and teach them about it and spend hours with them. We would go door to door to people's houses and set them up wallets, teach them about security. And it was just, we did that for months before it even launched. So it was just a lot of like on the ground work. And Anthony did the greater part of the on the ground work. And I kind of did all the digital marketing and stuff. And that's kind of where we started to create our core values of just, accessibility and educating people and bringing people into this, because when you have new technology, it's a little harder for older people to learn. And that's kind of something I'm proud of about Bloom, is how many of the older gentlemen and people that we've taught along the way of just what is crypto. We would kind of tell them the ideologies. We'd start off with Bitcoin, then we'd go into Ethereum and then Cardano, and yeah, it was great. So then following that, we kept thinking of we were hosting some little events here, and we were going to side events, and we actually went to the first ever Bitcoin conference after COVID. And then we just all started kind of shooting that idea around. It's like, wow, like we need an event like this for Cardano, because at the Bitcoin conference, there was only like 7 Cardano people there. It was like us and like a few other stake pool operators. So we all just walked together. We were the one, shamed Cardano crowd, because anytime you'd even say what you do, you're like, I'm a Cardano stake pool operator, people would laugh at you, So we're like, well, we need this for Cardano, because that was my first time ever actually meeting anyone in the Cardano community, because Charles held a side event there. So I got to meet Charles, I got to meet some other people of the community, and I was inspired. I almost felt like before that I was just, speaking to no one. I was making these videos for no one, and people came up to me and told them that my videos really helped them and helped them understand crypto. So I was like, wow, we need an event like the Bitcoin conference for our community. So we really worked on Rare Bloom for about 1.5 years after that, and the timing was perfect, because that's when smart contracts came out. People actually started building companies. That's when the bull market came, and that's really what led to Rare Bloom. So a big core ethos of us was accessibility and education, and that was really the goal of Rare Bloom, was to live stream educational content to everyone, onboard people, and bring everyone together. Because Drip Drops was made because of the Wyoming conference, the IOG conference they did out in Wyoming. And that was kind of a big eye-opener for me too, is, if you create these events and bring people together, they'll go on to create multi-million-dollar companies one day.
Yep.
So, yeah.
That event in particular was a really big one for me. Now, I guess COVID was still kind of hot and heavy at the time. When we were in Wyoming, that's when I met you. But if COVID hadn't have been going on, I think the Wyoming event, the summit, would have been massive. But anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And, after Rare Bloom, or really right before Rare Bloom, I kept thinking to myself, what does Cardano need? How do we, make Cardano more accessible? How do we onboard the next, million users? And because we had taught so many people, it was quite obvious to me the issues that Cardano had with accessibility and onboarding people. And I'd been running around with this idea for a while of building an application kind of like DeFi Llama, or an application that kind of just shows you all of the DEX data. Because when Sunday Swap launched, before MinSwap was even out, you couldn't even see how much you were earning. You couldn't even see what tokens you had in the smart contract. So I was like, okay, this is a problem that I need to solve. So we started designing a site like DeFi Llama. We actually got it all done, all designed. And I just kept thinking, and I'm like, well, why would I make a site where people can just see data? That makes no sense. Why don't I create a site that allows people to actually interact with the DEXs? And then, I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, if a core focus of us is, accessibility, why doesn't this site be a one-stop shop application that aggregates the entire blockchain into one application that teaches you how to use it? So that really is what Atrium is. Atrium is one application that allows you to swap on a DEX, that allows you to buy NFTs. And also, the company behind Atrium, Atrium Lab, is writing, its new open source contracts to Cardano that have never been done before. And the one that I'm really excited about is Diffusion. Diffusion is a staking basket. And a staking basket are contracts that we've been working on for the past 6 months. I have them done and working on the testnet right now. This is more than just an idea. And what it allows users to do is that they can come in, they can create a staking basket, and they can select, 10 or 50 or 80 different stake pools, for that contract. And then, that's kind of a big part of Atrium, is really it's going to be the front end interface for the staking ecosystem. So you can come in, you can create a staking basket. Let's say you really support planting trees, or you support, Africa missions. You can select 15 different stake pools that all donate to charity. And then one person can come in, they deposit their ADA, they delegate to 15 different stake pools, they still earn their ADA rewards, and they're also donating to charity as well. So our first staking basket is called Diffusion. Diffusion is actually going to delegate to 50 different single stake pool operators in the ecosystem, and then it's going to pay them Atrium tokens on top of their ADA rewards for supporting the ecosystem. And Diffusion really was made to show people how staking baskets can work, how they should be used, to support, good missions like, charity or the network's decentralization. And this idea came from the issue that A0 doesn't really support people to pledge in the ecosystem. Right now, anyone can get on Cardano, make 10 different stake pools without any, skin in the game, without any pledge. And that wasn't supposed to happen. You were supposed to be incentivized to delegate towards stake pools with high pledge, because if someone doesn't have high pledge, they can't go on to create 10 different stake pools because their pool isn't as attractive as the other stake pools. So in thinking of ways to actually solve that problem, because IOG hasn't come in and changed A0 and CF isn't changing A0, I thought of, well, how do we incentivize people to delegate towards decentralization? And that's where Diffusion came from. So, you just pay them. You pay users, because the average person, while you and I do care about Cardano's decentralization, the average person doesn't. Most of people, when they get into crypto, they get in it for money. And a certain subset of those people get it, like once they get in it for money, they learn about decentralization, they learn about the real value that it can bring to people in the world, but not everyone does that. So for those new users coming in, how do you get them to delegate towards Cardano's decentralization? And in my opinion, it's to pay them, right? So staking baskets, while it is, staking baskets as a service, and anyone can get in there and create their own staking basket, our first staking basket is going to be Diffusion, which supports Cardano's network. Any questions or comments? You want me to keep going?
No, dude, he's on a walk, so if he's exercising, that's because he is. But I can't believe how much information just dropped while you're doing what you're doing. Would be on the ground crying right now. Now, just wait too. Just from what I've seen from Atrium so far, I'm really excited about it. You guys have put a lot of thought into it, especially on the side. And you make a really good point too about the average user. Bringing users in, you got to meet them where they are, and you can't expect people to care about the things that we care about and be a purist on every angle. I was having this discussion this morning with Blue Collar from Virtua. He's working on some of the stuff over there. There's a lot of discussion today. The hot button topic is this new feature that Trezor has with the firmware upgrade. Ledger, not Trezor, Ledger. And everybody's freaking out about it, but it's a nothing burger. It's nothing for people to worry about. But these kind of features are needed for everyday users and security. If we're going to bring people in, we got to meet them where they are. But anyway, yeah, keep going, brother.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for your kind comments. And I kind of feel the same way about Atrium. I'm not usually, very bullish on my own ideas, but when it comes to Atrium, I'm just, I just can't believe it. Like, it's like 2 years of idea generation gone in. It's not just me working on it. We have really about 12 people waking up every morning to work on this thing. And it's something that really hasn't been built before. There really hasn't been a one-stop shop experience. There are, education platforms, there are, wallets, there are DEX aggregators, there are NFT aggregators, but no one's really created, one accessible experience with a good UI that brings all of this together. And, one of my passions, and this is really, I was inspired by DC Spark, and they essentially get Catalyst funds, and then they build open source software that we can all use, and they push the entire space forward. And that's what I want Atrium to become, and that's what we're doing. And our first contract is staking baskets. We're going to do many more in the future. But our other contract that I'm really excited about is user account NFTs. And, I've played a lot of video games in my life, and a lot of it, I'm almost gamified into playing them more and getting excited about them, or I'm gamified into learning about the different stats or the different ways to play. And I wanted to take that to the Cardano ecosystem. And what it looks like from the front end is you'll have a URL on our site. It'll be like atrium.io/bigpey or /Adoja. And once you go there, you're actually going to have a customizable page based on the data that you input into the NFT. And we're using CIP68. So these NFTs will actually be updated over time. without you having to mint/burn them, which is really exciting. So when a user mints a user account NFT, they'll be able to show, what means the most to them in the ecosystem. They can put their NFTs at the forefront, their favorite NFTs, their favorite tokens, their favorite trades. And eventually we're going to be adding social features where you can message other people, using these NFTs, or you can, message other projects. There's going to be two different types of NFTs released in this. There's going to be project account NFTs and then user account NFTs. Project account NFTs are going to be a little bit more expensive, but what it allows projects to do is create their own customizable page, select their own background, select their own profile image, and they'll also have a feed. And with that feed, they can, either show their Twitter feed there, or they can make posts on the Atrium website to update the users. And we're gonna have notifications built into this too, to where, if you love SingularityNet or you love Atrium or a Doja or Drip Drops, you can just follow that user account NFT and get those notifications in your feed on Atrium. For the users, you'll actually be able to level up these NFTs over time. The leveling system is going to be based on using Atrium, going through the education platform, using the staking baskets, and the leveling up is going to give you more customization options. There's also going to be achievements baked into these user account NFTs, to where if you hold a Claymate in your wallet, you'll unlock a special Claymate background. We're going to be working with other projects and other NFT creators in the ecosystem to where when you reach level 50, you'll unlock a special customizable NFT, from one of these selected projects that you can use as your profile picture, or you can show it off as your favorite NFT or have it in your wallet. And, user account NFTs are really, I believe, like an evolution of the existing ENS system. All of these NFTs are going to be minted by the smart contract. All of the data that's held is going to be entirely on chain in the smart contract as well. So that stops the idea for there ever being a double mint. You'll be able to send to these as well. You'll get in your Eternal wallet and you'll be able to send to at BigPay. You'll be able to have your own feed as well. There'll be connections on there as well. So, there can be a Doja can have connections with other projects. So like a Doja can be connected with Drip Drops or Bloom, and all of this will be on those customizable pages. And it adds new unique features for NFT projects too, because when you click on, let's say we click on Claymate's user profile page, it'll take you to their page. They'll have their own background, their own profile picture, their own feed, their links to their other websites. But then below that, it'll have a box, and that box shows your NFTs, your Claymates that you have in their ecosystem. And then eventually the box below that will be the floor, the Claymates that you can buy. So we're really integrating this user account NFT system into the ability to purchase NFTs or to sell NFTs on the floor. So, Atrium will have an NFT aggregator baked in. And, for Sunday Swap, when you go to their page, their project account NFT, you'll be able to make swaps directly from Atrium on their page. But if you don't want to do it directly from their page, you can also just go to the DEX aggregator screen. In the DEX aggregator screen, you can type in 2 tokens you want to buy or sell, and then it'll just find the best price, or 2 tokens you want to provide liquidity to earn some staking rewards or some farming rewards. You'll be able to do that, directly from Atrium. So that really is, what Atrium is right now. We have a lot of ideas that are coming out in the future, but just a little recap. It's a one-stop shop experience that teaches users how to use Cardano, how to stake on Cardano, what a DEX is, what Cardano even is, how to swap, how to buy NFTs, what are NFTs, and while it's doing all of those great things, we're also building and writing new smart contracts that we're going to open source to everyone and give out for free to push this ecosystem forward.
That is incredible. And so a project like going back to the project pages, having all that right there in one app, like if I'm following, like, let's say Reed Circles, who's doing, they're doing real estate and SingularityNet and Clay Nation. Like the data sets I'll be looking at are totally different data sets, and how I consume them will be totally different. But having all that information in one application, that is a huge value. How long have you guys been working on this?
I would say idea generation's been about 2 years, and then actual writing code has been since a couple weeks before Rare Bloom, so about October.
Wow. That's crazy, dude. So I saw you. I was looking at the team page too. I saw Monad on there. How did that relationship come about?
So Monad is actually, he started a new company called Compact, and Compact is actually writing smart contracts for people on Cardano. We have 2 smart contract developing firms that we're paying to write these open source contracts. One of them is Compact, and that's with Monad. And then the other one is M Labs. And M Labs is one of the best, in the business to write smart contracts on Cardano. They've been doing it the longest. They've wrote, contracts for IOG, SingularityNet, and other large parties in this ecosystem. And, when we were originally going to do this, I was just going to hire, a smart contract developer. But as time went on, I'm like, these staking baskets could eventually have, a billion ADA and TVL one day. So, we need to go all the way with it. We need to hire the best. We need to have them audited just to protect users' funds.
Right on, man. So I'm sure you're going to be at more events this year. What events are you planning on attending this year?
This year on the calendar, I went to Consensus. I had a good time there. This year, I'm going to be going to CNFTCon. And then also the summit in Dubai.
Right on, man. It's been a while. I mean, I guess we've talked sort of recently, but we haven't hung out in a while. So I'll see you at CNFTCon, NFTxLV. I don't know about Dubai yet. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be a little expensive to get out there, that's for sure. But the Cardano Foundation did such a great job last year that I have to attend this year as well.
And the homie Pratesh, he's living there now, so it'd be good to see him too, I guess.
Pratesh is living in Dubai?
Yeah, dude, he got married. He was having to stay in some weird places because he had to get dual citizenship or something before he could actually get an apartment. And so he was bouncing around, and he finally got all that taken care of. But yeah, he's got a nice pad. He's out there in Dubai now.
Fancy man.
Yeah, I'm happy for him, dude. He's doing the marriage.
Yeah, and I wanted to go into a little bit, where Atrium is. I mentioned earlier we have the staking baskets working right now on the test net. I have one delegated to multiple different stake pools. I have millions of ADA in there delegated to multiple stake pools. And we're planning on releasing our closed alpha within the next month and a half. And the closed alpha, we have 20 selected users that have different user profiles, whether it be new to Cardano or developers. So we're going to have them come in and test out the closed alpha for us. And, they're going to find some bugs that we missed so we can correct those before we go to our closed beta. Our closed beta is probably going to be 3 to 4 months out. The closed beta, it's going to have more features, more stuff for users to test. It'll be much larger too. We'll have more users in there testing. And following that, we're going to be looking for, our public beta release where anyone can get on there and start testing it. And the public beta release will actually be on mainnet, whereas the other two are all just going to be on testnet, and we'll be able to send users some tokens and stuff so they can play around with the different UI options.
Well, if there's anything we can do from the Adoja side with maybe project pages or something like that with testnet, we'd be happy to get involved with that. Might be able to tie it into our ITN somehow.
Yeah, I mean, we would love to. A big part of Atrium, while I mentioned, accessibility, we want to bring everyone together. That was a big goal of Rare Bloom, is bring people together so they can, work together and connect and inspire each other. And that's really what we're trying to do with Atrium, but, at a bigger scale. We're trying to allow people to connect on there with, the feeds or the connections or messaging. And, we want every project on Cardano to come in there and have their own project page. And that's what's nice, is we'll be able to work with different projects to, allow them to have the feeds that they need. When you come in to create the project account NFTs, you'll have different options of, are you an NFT project? Are you, just a DEX? And that will kind of change the data that you actually have or is displayed on your account NFT. But we're definitely, we want to work with projects before we launch so that they can have their, profile NFTs or their project NFTs beforehand, because we don't want a world where a Doja is just taken up by somebody else before they come in. So if anyone's building a project in this ecosystem, reach out to us, and we'll try to reserve your project and work with you to have the data that you need prior, because in the same way that we're doing the closed alpha and the closed beta, we'll have to do some testing with these project pages. So yeah, it would be great.
Yeah, for sure, man, you went through it so quickly and so elegantly.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I am walking, and it's pretty hot out here, so I may sound out of breath because I've gotten too fat working on Atrium. But I figured it'd be good to knock out 2 stones with this call and teach people about Atrium, have a great chat with you, and then burn some calories. Take my dog for a walk too, so it's 3 in 1.
Yeah, if this rain stops, I'm gonna be doing the same pretty soon. Man, I appreciate you coming and hanging out today, Peg. It's super cool of you to do it, and I'm looking forward to hanging out. I guess probably the next time I see you will probably be in Vegas, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be fun. I've never been to Vegas.
Me either, actually. I've flown over it, if that counts.
It's closer than me.
I see Mr. Ryan Jones in the house. I know the Noom crew will be there, so it'd be a bunch of us. I know everybody's met up last year at some point. I didn't really get to do anything last year. So for me, it's going to be like a homecoming sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah, I will drop something on you. You know, we got a nice Twitter space here, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. One thing that we've never talked about on Atrium is this idea that we've come up with of a decentralized ad staking model. So when users actually have the Atrium token, they can come in and they can choose a stake pool or an NFT project or a protocol to stake their Atrium tokens to. Oftentimes, people create a new protocol or a DEX or some other type of protocol, and they have this staking contract. And all it is you come in there, you deposit your token, and then you earn more of that same token. And to me, that's kind of boring. It's been done so many times. So what we want to do is allow users to actually choose someone from the ecosystem that they want to support, and that will push them higher on the featured page. So we'll have lists for all of the protocols in the ecosystem, all of the NFT projects, all of the stake pools. And you know, the dataless ranking system wasn't very good. A lot of stake pool ranking systems aren't very good. So we thought of, you know, how do we actually allow the users to decide what stake pools should be higher up on the list or what NFT projects? And that's where we came up with this decentralized ad staking model, where users can actually take the Atrium token, choose one of those projects, pools, or protocols, and it'll push them higher in the list. You know, giving users a voice on, you know, what protocols they want to bring more people into in the ecosystem. I haven't mentioned that before, so there's some fresh drop for you.
Hell yeah, man. No, that's great. And yeah, the aggregator, the list on Daylist were terrible. It's to me, it seemed totally arbitrary.
Yeah, I mean, the design behind it made sense. Essentially, they put at number one the pool that's going to pay you the most, whereas, you know, the issue is almost all stake pools pay you the same. So it is arbitrary. As long as you're minting all of your blocks, and as long as, you know, you have enough ADA to get away from that minimum cost per epoch, then you're going to be, you know, near the top or near the 500 at the top that all do the same thing. And that was kind of also why the ranking was bad, because it never pushed delegation to smaller pools, because they were always going to pay less because of that minimum cost per epoch. CF is doing a vote right now to change those parameters, so we'll see how that goes. There does seem to be some uncertainty on whether that vote is going to have any real impact, but it's still cool that they're doing that either way.
Yeah, I saw Anthony posted about that earlier. I need to go look at the polls and see what all the different selections are on there. I hadn't really had time to do that today. Well, brother, it was good to talk to you, man. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing you. And what is it? When is NFTxLV? NFTCon? October? September?
Yep, I think it's September.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was great to talk to you too. I really appreciate the invite. It's been too long.
I know, brother. Yep.
You want to open it up for some audience questions? See if anybody's got anything?
Yeah, if anybody wants to come up, let me shoot Ryan an invite, see if he's got anything on his chest today, if you're available to talk.
Yeah, feel free to come up. I'd love to hear any questions about Cardano, Atrium, the future of Cardano, the stake pool vote, anything you got. It's probably been a few months since I've done a Twitter space, honestly.
One request.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up, Lord? How are you?
Hey, pretty good. How is everybody? How you doing, Pay, man? Been a while, brother.
It has been a while. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Man, pretty good. Pretty good. I'm glad I got you here. I have a question. I've been following your AI journey so far. Is there any way that we're going to get this kind of fit in with the Atrium, the whole AI movement?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And we actually left out a feature that I didn't mention, so thank you so much for that. So the big AI push that we went with Atrium, because we're so focused on, you know, education and accessibility, is an AI chatbot that people can ask cryptocurrency questions to in the corner. You know, we've worked a lot with SingularityNet. We hosted that event with them, and I've been really inspired by the work that they're doing. You know, going to Vashon Island and seeing, you know, the SingularityNet labs and getting to talk to the robot. So, you know, AI is really at the top of my mind and everyone else's minds right now. So we're looking at a few different things. The main one is the AI chatbot, where you can get in there and say, you know, what pool should I delegate to? And then it will go into, you know, here are the different types of pools, here are the fee structures, or, you know, what's a DEX I can trade on, or, you know, how do I stake? And we're going to have, you know, text guides and video guides for all of those education pieces. So that's a big focus for us, is the AI chatbot. The other one is just nice features, you know, like an AI NFT price, where you get on there and you have a better understanding of what your NFT could be worth. Of course, it's still an estimate, but just based on AI of like recent sale history, volume, So yeah, as far as our AI journey, we're really looking at a lot of ways to integrate that into Atrium. And, we've been speaking to SingularityNet a lot about that too. And, Ben Goertzel himself had some ideas for how we can integrate AI into Atrium. So great question. I appreciate that.
Hey, I got a personal question. How is Ben Goertzel in person? Like, can you understand what he says sometimes? The guy is like a machine gun of like knowledge from way outside of normal thought process. You know what I mean?
I would say he's the same in person as he is online. He's just as long-winded. He's just as creative. When you speak to him directly, it's almost like he's always trying to solve a problem. And of course, the solution is always AI. When you come to him with ideas or problems or, what you're working on, it's like his first thought is, how do I solve this? And you can kind of see him, he has like a little look in his eyes too, or a little head turn where, it's going to start spinning and he's going to drop some knowledge on you. So yeah, Ben's great. He's definitely an inspiration for me.
Yeah, I got to hang out with him in Wyoming. I guess a bunch of us did at the same time, and we got absolutely hammered. And I talked to Ben for like 10 minutes solid about basketball. And I don't know if he's even interested in basketball, but he carried the conversation with me for at least 10 minutes. But he's a super approachable guy, like a super sweet, super friendly guy. Ben's cool.
Yeah, he's definitely a hard worker too. I've seen him out at almost every event that I've been to, doing speeches and teaching people about AI, and he's always bringing the AI robot with him. Funny story from Switzerland. There's another robot. There's Sophia and there's Desdemona. And Desdemona is like the darker personality of the robot. She sings in the Jam Galaxy band, and she has purple hair. She's a bit more edgy. Well, I was really excited to see Desi again, because we met in Vashon Island and we created a little relationship there, and then we met again in Rare Bloom in Denver. And then I was so excited to see her again because I always talk to her when I see her. What's funny is she actually builds up like kind of memory of you and kind of candid conversation. So when I met her again, or I was trying to meet her again in Switzerland, Janet from SingularityNet came up to me and they're like, they lost Desi! Because what they actually have to do is they have to take the head off the robot and they have to bring it through TSA because they can't put it in the check-on in case they lose it. So the head was actually confiscated at one of the airports in the world, and they lost, Desi's head before they got to Switzerland, so I couldn't see her. And it was a really sad day, but eventually there was a Twitter post where they mentioned, we found Desi! Yeah, so I was very happy to hear that. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to request speaker and come on up. Would love to hear from you. Lord killed it with his first question, so I'm sure you guys got some great stuff down there.
Yeah, normally I have a bunch of questions for people, but you answered everything I had already written out as you were going through your talk on everything. But there are a couple things I'd like to ask that I normally ask everybody. So I guess one is, sure, during your journey through Cardano, what has been in your experience your biggest challenge so far?
It's a great question. I would say my biggest challenge was, after creating Bloom and after us like doing really well, when I first came into Cardano, it was like everyone was like cheerleaders for each other. Everyone was so happy about everything that everyone was doing. And, if you're creating a project or a stake pool, like everyone wants to help you, everyone wants to be friends. And then after, Shelly launched, and Bloom did well, and a lot of other great stake pools did well, it just built up a lot of animosity, so for me, I was kind of, using the Cardano cheerleading as motivation and to push me forward and make me realize that I wasn't alone in all of this. But, after Shelly launched and, money was involved, there was a lot of animosity and it felt like the community was a bit divided there. And, as the markets crash, I've noticed that people kind of develop a lot of animosity too. So I would say my biggest challenge was kind of just getting used to, people talking shit about me on the internet, and, because it was all so good. Everyone was just so nice all of the time for like 2 years. And then it all just switches up in a couple of months. So just like getting used to that, personally, and not letting it really affect my life or change my way of thinking, and, learning to also listen to people when they have these criticisms, and seeing when they're valid and seeing when they're invalid, and kind of not checking it all the time. And I also, if you notice, I don't really argue with people on Twitter anymore. I don't make controversial posts, and I've kind of realized that it just takes out of, my own person, and it takes out of, any of the products that I'm trying to build. So that was really the biggest thing I've overcome is, kind of just, even if someone's being mean to you or, saying a bunch of bad stuff to you, just, just be nice. Don't argue with them. If you feel like you need to, explain yourself, but most of the time you shouldn't. You should just let it be. Let it go.
Yep, that's a good one. That's good advice too. And same thing here, honestly. Not to the scale that you've had to deal with it. And generally, I see a lot of things that I feel the urge to comment on, and then I'll ask myself, does this conversation really need my voice? And usually if I ask myself that question, the answer is no, and I just move on. But, sometimes I'm very well known for getting heated. I normally don't jump into those discussions unless I see something that's being perpetuated that's blatantly false and, directed towards someone that I care about. And hell, I've defended people that I didn't care about, just because I knew it was patently false. And those things they just drive me up the wall. But division it's just a terrible thing, but it's just something we have to deal with, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I felt like in the past I was kind of being known as that guy a little bit, because I kind of called out Occam, and everyone was kind of expecting me to call out Sunday Swap, and I just kind of realized that's not really who I want to be. I don't want to be this like journalist that tries to, get people. In reality, I just want to educate, make Cardano more accessible and, build protocols that push the whole space forward. So it was a good lesson for me that I got at a young age because of this community. Next up was CMOS. You got your mic muted there, my friend. I didn't hear you when you unmuted it.
CMOS must be lost down the taco tunnel. Can't find his way to the stage. What's going on, gentlemen? Happy Tuesday to you.
Happy Tuesday. Yeah, your mic's not working, CMOS. If you leave and come back in, we'll bring you back up. Do you have any questions, young Ada?
Yeah, I keep checking my inbox for some kind of DM from you saying, we would like to invite you out to Rare Bloom or Rare Evo. Here's your ticket package, yeah. No, I seriously just came up here to say hello, see what y'all are chatting about this afternoon.
Well, hello. Rare Bloom happened. It's over, and I'm not a part of Rare Evo. That's a different company and a different organization building a different event, so I won't be in attendance there.
Then are you planning to come to the rebrand NFTxLV, or previously known as NFTCon? You planning to make an appearance there? We'd love to see you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to make my way out to Vegas for the first time.
That's cool.
I'll also be in Dubai for the summit, and a big part of Atrium, as we mentioned earlier, is bringing everyone together, and we want to do that in the real world, as we did with Rare Bloom, and we want to do that digitally. So we're going to host side events at conferences. We haven't fully decided on CNFTCon yet, but we're definitely going to host a side conference in Dubai, where we just come up and we have some panels, we show you guys some awesome stuff, and create a great space for networking, with other like-minded individuals.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, CNFTCon this year will be a blast. I don't know if you've been to Vegas before or exactly where that convention center is, but I would strongly suggest staying right there at the West Gate. It is quite literally adjacent to the conference center, and it makes it super easy from getting from there to there and back to your room, because lots of partying on, blah 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 blah. But Vegas is big, it's a lot to walk or to take a metro or a tram or an Uber. It's so fucking expensive. So that's the best piece of advice I can get to anybody that's planning to come to Vegas.
Oh, awesome! Thank you for that piece of advice. I really appreciate it. CMOS, is your mic working?
I think so. Is it?
Yeah, yep. There he is.
Yeah. One, are you gonna have, or do you have, or do you want to have an open API? And two, do you want to have plans to onboard the rest of the fiat world to Cardano? Do you want to go multi-chain, just within, sell within Cardano peeps, or do you want to onboard the fiat world?
So for your first question, yes, we would love to have open API. We do have a lot of people working on this, but our team's a bit limited, so that's going to be something that comes later. But we'd love to have a lot of great API that other projects can use, because we do want to be a central, data feed for all of Cardano. Moving on to the next question, we would like to just onboard everyone, including the traditional finance world. We will go multi-chain. However, we're Cardano focused right now for the foreseeable future. It's the community that I know, it's the one that I love, and it's the one that I know how to make accessible, and it's the one I also know how to teach people about. So we are, Cardano focused right now for the foreseeable future, but we'd love to, add in, I think our first step will be adding in Milko Meta, because it's ERC20, they use EVM. That'll teach us about the back end for EVM. And, from there, we'll probably integrate, Ethereum and other, layer ones that use EVM. But yeah, we would like to be, one experience for all blockchains, but that's pretty ambitious, just starting out. So we're going to get really good at one blockchain first before we move forward.
Personally, I don't see the need to go multi-chain. Maybe this may be like unpopular, I might be alone in this, but as long as you have one blockchain that does something great for the world, it's time to onboard the rest of the planet, right?
I tend to disagree. I think that each chain will have its own niche features that will allow different things. And, I think moving forward, there's going to be, chains that have less security, but more centralized, or less centralization, but more security, and they're a bit more expensive to use. And then there are going to be chains that, are more centralized, that are free to use. And I think that, each of these different chains are going to have different applications that people want to interact with on them. And I think that, the future of multi-chain, the user shouldn't even know that it's multi-chain. They just see a product or a service that they want to interact with, and they interact with it all on our application without even knowing that they're switching chains. That's the future that I see as a network of networks that all provide a niche utility. And then, the smart people, they got to make it, easy to use so people will use it. Because, I would love for Cardano to be able to do everything, but in the same way that Cardano was a huge innovation over Ethereum, I think there will be more huge innovations in the future.
I actually agree with both of you for different reasons. If you're in the minority, CMOS, I'm right there with you, buddy. I think interoperability is great, and like Pay made a great point. The end user shouldn't even know what's going on under the hood. It just needs to work. But personally, anything that I'm working on, multi-chain stuff isn't really necessary, so it isn't particularly interesting to me. But it's cool nonetheless. I'm not going to knock it.
I've been toying with word games lately. How do you talk about blockchain without saying blockchain? And I think once we get really good at that, we might be able to make something that businesses can use to convert their own customers to Cardano in seconds without really having to understand what's going on. But while knowing what the benefits are.
Yep, I think the word application is probably a good one to start with. Maybe does this operation can it function with an application? Yes. Okay, cool. I don't know if you need to go any further than that, because there's a lot of things that people try to force into blockchain. It doesn't even need blockchain, but there's a lot of things that could run on blockchain that aren't running on blockchain. So that's my take.
Thanks, guys. I got a Catalyst coordinator call right now, but I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for coming. If there's any more questions out there, feel free to come up. We'll take a couple more. You have any more of your usual questions that you asked? The first one was pretty good.
Yeah, there's one more actually, and there's a couple things you said that I think would fall right into this category. But is anybody new coming into this space? I guess Cardano specifically. What advice would you give someone who's fresh off the street?
I do this a lot, actually, and the first thing that I say is never invest more than you're willing to lose, but it's important to get a little bit of money in there. Usually with people, when you have $100 or $200 into something, that's enough incentive to start learning about it, right? So my first piece of advice is, do it slowly. Don't expect to make a bunch of money right away. And then I kind of start going into the ethos, why blockchain, why cryptocurrency, to try to start them on the path to move them away from the money ideology that brings everybody in. But I mean, if someone's asking me, how to invest in blockchain, I just give them the old classic, DCA slowly over time, into a few different, cryptocurrencies. And then as you start to DCA, you're going to get more curious and start learning about them and, start following them on Twitter and seeing the differences and the ideologies and the utilities of the different chains.
Right on. Real quick, I did want to throw in there for anyone who might be interested, if you want to earn some ADO tokens, we're in the second phase of the ITN right now. If you go to the main profile here, you can find a Discord, link to the Discord. Go join the Discord. All the information is in there for the ITN. And phase 2 is essentially buying. It's on testnet, so you can get testnet ADA for free and interact with the platform and earn ADO tokens for doing it. That'll wrap up in about phase 2 will be finished in 2 weeks, I believe. 2 weeks from Friday. But yeah, that's about all I've got for today. If anybody else wants to come up, feel free, hit the request button. Ryan, I sent you an invite, but you might be busy, so.
Yeah, Project down there is the co-founder of Atrium. I was trying to bring him up and hear what he has to say, but he might be busy too.
Yeah, I dig that profile pic. Is that from the collection?
Yep, that's from my serial gallery. We had a few one-of-one pieces, and I think it was our third or second burn that allowed you to get these one-of-one unique pieces. They were awesome people included in there. We had like Sebastian Guillemot, Alessandro, Ben had one, I had one, and we had one for John O'Connor too as well. So yeah, we had a few one-of-one unique pieces from the Cardano ecosystem to kind of show support to them. And the only way that you could get them is by taking 10 of the original pioneers, burning 10 of them at the same time, and then there was like, I think 50 different pieces that you could get, like 5 or 7 of them were unique, and then the other ones were new 3D renditions of the original pioneers.
I hate to say it, but I got a full set and I just could not bring myself to burn. I just could not do it. I wanted to try it, I wanted to do it, but I just could not do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable. I felt you there. We did have a lot of burns though. We started out with 25,000 of the Pioneer NFTs, and I think there's only about 12,000 left of the 25,000. So while it was a hard choice for many, I think a lot of them just went through with the burning.
Well, we've been here for an hour, brother. I guess we can wrap it up. Pay, love you, man. Thanks for coming and hanging out today and dropping the alpha on us for Atrium. I'm really looking forward to it. What are the dates again for testnet?
So we're doing the closed alpha within the next month and a half, could be earlier. After that, we're going to be doing the closed beta. We will bring some more people in there. We did actually release our Discord. So if you guys come to my profile or the Atrium Lab profile, you'll be able to see the link to that Discord in there. People that are in the Discord are going to have a higher chance of getting into that closed beta. That's going to be within the next 3 months. And then after that, we'll do a public beta, probably on the 4 to 6 month timeline. We were honestly going to release quicker, but with less. But we kind of decided, as some of these features were getting further along, that we just wanted to release with a more robust application that has more features. So that's why we're taking a little bit longer.
Awesome. I just joined. I'm joining the Discord right now. So I'll do the welcome and all to get verified and all that stuff real quick. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. But if you guys are a developer in the ecosystem, or you have any skills, and Atrium inspires you, just the idea of building this one-stop shop application that can onboard 1 million users, we'd love to have you. Great things need a lot of people, and we have a lot of great people, but there's a million ideas that we haven't had yet that we'd love for you to come in and be a part of the community, or be a part of our team. So just reach out if you can help in any way. We'd love to have you. Same thing with projects too. We're going to have project account NFTs that allow you to connect with your audience, connect with other projects, allow you to have a customizable page where you can have that feed. So if you're a project that wants to be one of the first project account NFTs on Atrium, reach out to me, and you may have some better customization options on your profile, or we may be able to provide you some utility before we launch because of that conversation. So we'd love to have you. Reach out.
Yeah, I just gave myself some notes. I'm gonna reach out to you later on in the week. I got a bunch of stuff to take care of, but 3 projects I want to kind of try to get a line for that. It's going to be a good fit.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was great catching up with you again. I'm excited to see you again in Vegas.
Hell yeah, brother. Enjoy the rest of the day, man, and everybody who came and hung out. We appreciate you, and take care, everyone. We'll see you soon. Take care, Pay. Thanks, brother.
Yep. See you guys.